The past 9 days have been a roller coaster for fans of New England sports teams. The Patriots win the Super Bowl. The Bruins fire Claude Julien during the Patriots Super Bowl parade, absolutely embarrassing themselves in the process and really accomplishing nothing other than earning themselves the label of coward. But the Bruins, since then, are 3-0 under interim coach Bruce Cassidy after a relatively dominant win over the San Jose Sharks. They barely dodged the bullet known as the Vancouver Canucks on Saturday, and then Sunday night, a day that will go down in history for both teams one way or another. People will remember Sunday, February 12th, 2017. Tuukka Rask and the Bruins finally beat the Habs on home ice, a 4-0 shutout. Now, will the Bruins eventually settle back down into what they realistically are? Will this rise in effort and productivity decline even just a little bit? Of course it will. The team right now is trying like hell to impress the new coach and trying to prove to fans that the inconsistencies this season weren't their fault. It was clearly all Claude Julien's fault, after all, don't you know? But in doing that, in playing this well, and that they've really been performing like a playoff team, the playoff team that they should have been all season long, and by trouncing Montreal on Sunday, they have potentially screwed themselves over for years to come. The Montreal Canadiens have fired Michel Therrien and replaced him. And I cannot believe I am saying this. They have replaced him with Claude Julien. And I thought I was stunned and at a loss for words last week. I hadn't seen anything yet, as it turns out. Now, as far as the Bruins go, I feel like I've said pretty much all I can about the team between the last few videos, as far as like players and their decision making and all that. I genuinely don't know if they'll be a playoff team. If they can survive this upcoming Western road trip, of course, after beating Montreal, they had their bye week, and now they're coming up on the Western road trip, Anaheim, LA, San Jose, and a game in Dallas. If they can escape this road trip with a positive point percentage, I'll be a lot more optimistic. This trip has been a death sentence for the team's playoff hopes in the past 2 seasons. But as far as the Bruins go, or as far as the Bruins fans go, the reaction, as you would expect, has been pretty mixed. You have those who wanted to see Claude go, and now they truly believe that this move will only further help the Bruins, as Montreal has hired on what was apparently a cancer to the Boston Bruins. An interesting way to look at this situation, that is for sure. You have those who hated to see Claude Julien go. They fully believe it was a move for, making a move for the sake of simply making a move, and that the players and management are the issue. And as a result, Montreal just sealed the division title for years to come. Another interesting and perhaps more depressing way to look at the events of the past week or so. And then you have those that just want to watch the world burn. They can't wait to see Claude destroy the Bruins. And even as Bruins fans, they'll enjoy watching Claude potentially raise a cup at the expense of the Bruins for the Habs, which in fairness, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I honestly wouldn't be too disappointed in seeing Claude Julien get another cup. I know. Even if it means Montreal wins, that might be a sacrifice I'd be willing to make. My soul hurts. Oh my god. Oh, like legit chest pain. My take on the situation, though, obviously I'm not too ecstatic about this. Now, of course, you have people that are furious that the Bruins would even allow Montreal to talk to him, but it is somewhat of an unwritten rule that you just don't block other teams, even though you have the option to, even if in a situation like this. I mean, it's not like John Tortorella going from New York to Vancouver. This is Claude Julien going from Boston to Montreal. But if anything, be disappointed that the rule that would have seen the Bruins be handed compensation, potentially a second-round pick, was just removed not all that long ago, even if Montreal is finishing high in the standings. It would have been nice for the Bruins to get some sort of compensation that Don Sweeney could just eventually throw away and squander, right? There's that optimism. I'm happy for Claude, though. I am. I've made it quite clear in the past few videos that I am a fan of his. And if the Boston job wasn't perfect for him, it may have been as close to perfect as possible, seeing as he was there for 10 years. This is the perfect job for Claude at this point. I mean, even if his first tenure wasn't perfect, I mean, it's just... This job is perfect for him. It was perfect then, it's perfect now, even if it didn't work out the first time. Raised in Ottawa, he's a francophone, which is oh so important when it comes to being the head coach of the Habs and, you know, dealing with that media shitstorm. And despite feeling a little bit sorry for him, it is somewhat hilarious that Michel Therrien has lost his job to Claude Julien twice now. That poor bastard. But Montreal just improved drastically. Much like every coach, they have their supporters, but the overwhelming opinion, at least the one among the or at least the commonly shared opinion among the peasants of the internet, is that Michel Therrien needed to go. Of course, they weren't too happy after Habs fans, that is, weren't too happy after the collapse last season, and now, with their struggles this month, it still looked like he was going to survive. Fans didn't see Marc Bergevin letting his best friend go. But after another strong start, 2 years in a row, and after another downspin, of course, the Habs, you know, went into, I don't want to say free fall, but the Habs started to decline, mainly due to injuries, in fairness. But the problem was, once the team was healthy, they still weren't firing on all cylinders. They weren't getting it done. One win in February, I do believe. Marc Bergevin was looking at Gerard Gallant, but when the Bruins fired Claude Julien, that was it. He had his guy, especially after the events of Sunday. One way or another, it's going to be extremely interesting to see what happens with the Habs. And I say that as a Bruins fan, of course. Obviously, you have the rumors of Bergevin wanting to make a huge trade. They're obviously in win-now mode with Carey Price's contract due up at the end of next year, and of course the acquisition of Shea Weber, a move that was meant to win now. And of course, this year you have Max Pacioretty and Alex Radulov performing at an extremely high level, especially Patches, who is one of the more underappreciated players in the league, especially in terms of his goal scoring. He has been incredible over the past few years. Claude has a great team to work with, and hell, the happiest guy may just be Alex Galchenyuk, who wasn't exactly being used in ideal fashion. But that said, will he be the next Ryan Spooner? Another young guy where you simply haven't defined as to whether or not he's a center or a wing. And Claude Julien, kind of like Michel Therrien, might not trust the young guys as much. But the rest of the team, you know, I haven't mentioned Gallagher or Andrew Shaw, who should thrive under Claude Julien's system. If you solve the defensive issues and the fact that the Habs give up a ton of high-quality chances, does that sound familiar, guys? Does that sound familiar? Regardless, we could easily see Claude be this year's Mike Sullivan. In 4 months, if we're watching Montreal raise the cup, will I be surprised? Absolutely not. Will I be happy for Claude Julien? Absolutely. Will I avoid the internet for the rest of time because Habs fans would be unbearable to listen to? 100%. I think the biggest surprise out of this news is that Claude jumped back into coaching so quickly. He didn't wait until the offseason. He isn't going to Vegas or Florida. He's going back to Montreal. And while the discussion a week ago was whether or not the timing was right for the Bruins to let him go, little did we know that the timing was right for Montreal and that the perfect storm had aligned for the Habs. It's crazy. And while I feel like I'm forgetting certain things I wanted to say, which I always do in a video like this, and hell, look in the comments to see if I remembered something, and I'm pissed that I didn't say it in the video. I can say the NHL season in general just got a lot more interesting. Major coaching changes have obviously taken place. The trade deadline's coming up in just a few weeks, and the Godzilla-sized, I knew I'd fuck up that line, but I still wrote it that way. The Godzilla-sized problem known as the expansion draft, of course, looms over the head of every NHL team. What a time to be a hockey fan. It is an exciting time. We're keeping this in. We're charging on. Claude Julien is the new head coach of the Montreal Canadiens a whole 8 days after being let go by the Boston Bruins. What else can I say other than holy shit? But it's crazy. I didn't want to ramble. That's why I scripted out this video, but I literally can't even. That is it for this one though, guys. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of the move, the impact it has not only on the Bruins and the Habs, but the impact it'll have on the rest of the league, as the best head coach available is already off the market. How will the Habs do? Will they make a big trade for the likes of Hansel or Matt Duchene? What defines failure for them at this point in the season now? Is anything short of the cup a failure? What will the Boston Bruins do under Bruce Cassidy? Will they survive this Western road trip? And Michel Therrien, will he ever be a head coach in the NHL again? Quick note too, if you watched yesterday's Bork Battalion, or Bork's Battalion I should say, if you didn't, what's wrong with you, first of all? But if you did watch it, go check out the comments again, of course, mainly because my coin total update didn't get posted along with the video. YouTube kind of screwed me on that one, so you may find that we have a few more coins to work with than you originally thought, and I will, because of that, probably hold off on recording the episode for an extra day or so. That way people can get their input in. Like I said, I've really been enjoying that series, and the fact that it is built around interaction with you guys makes it that much better. But anyway, I am out of here. Make sure to hit that like button if you've enjoyed and want to help support the channel that much more, and subscribe if you haven't already to continue following what I'm doing here on the channel. I imagine the frequency of these Tougie's Takes videos will be much higher moving forward, as they have been in the past few weeks. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you guys are too. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you next time.